guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm going to be doing a layout today for y'all that is using just everything from my stash. So nothing really goes together. I just picked out a color palette based on that heart paper, and I started pulling in some papers just from my random papers that I have like sorted by color. And I'm going to be scrapbooking these two adorable photos of my dog Bailey and her favorite toy, which is that little donut. So these little puffy, or they're kind of enamel-ish material donuts I found on clearance at Hobby Lobby. Not the most recent clearance, but the one months and months ago. I think they were like 49 cents or something, and I used the whole package on this layout. And I wanted to really make those kind of a main feature on this page. And so I'm trying to figure out how I can kind of use some twine and either loop them through the donut holes or something of that nature. There I'm trying to do a banner. So I end up not going that route with the banner, and what I end up doing, you'll see here in a moment, is I ended up just gluing the donuts down where I wanted them to go, and then I just wrapped the twine around them. So here you're going to see what I'm doing here. And I don't know why I didn't like it that way with them just hanging there, but for whatever reason, I just decided to do it this way instead. And I do really love how this turns out. So I'm going to go ahead and glue all of those down. And then here I'm going to just kind of start and just go back and forth and weave in and out of these donuts to kind of make the twine connect them all together. And then on each end of the twine, I'm going to use my tiny attacher, and I'm going to just staple that twine down on each end. I may not have shown you that there in the video. Now this Happy Cut file was just one I must have pre-cut a long time ago, and I have a little folder of cut files, and so I decided to use that. And again, I pulled all of those papers based on the colors of that heart paper that you saw earlier in the video, and you will see that coming up here in a little bit as well. So I did just some layering underneath the photos with just some different pattern papers, and actually the same pattern papers that I used in the cut file. And here's where I'm going to bring in that heart paper, which is going to pretty much tie everything together. I just ripped kind of a chunk of the background paper there on the side, and I'm going to rough it up and kind of curl the edges a little bit, and I'm going to have that heart paper just kind of peeking through the right side. And then I'm going to bring it... Sorry about that. My son came home and my dog started to go crazy. Anyway, so you see I've got the heart paper to the right there, and I'm going to come back to that in just a moment. I'm going to go ahead and glue down my cut file, and I don't raise this up or anything when I glue it down because I know I want to layer the other part of the title kind of over that cut file. So I'm gonna glue that down, and this was a really quick layout, really simple layout, but I absolutely love it. I love the colors. I love the donuts. I don't know. I just really love the whole thing. I love that I used nothing but things from my stash. That was super fun. So I don't know. Like everything I pulled out was based on color. So I ended up layering up. I had an acetate kind of frame. And so just to add another little bit of texture, I cut it in half and then had it peeking out on the left and right side of those photos. And that's just simply really just another layer of texture, like I said. And I really like what that adds because you can see the stripes from the background paper behind it. And then I've got all the other paper layered up on top of that acetate. So here is, yeah. So I'm going to take another sheet of that heart paper and I'm going to make a banner underneath the photos, kind of for those photos to rest on. And then the right side of the banner is going to hold an embellishment cluster there as well. And I apologize if I am a little bit out of screen. I was at a crop where I was doing this and it was a different setup for my camera. And unfortunately, I was talking and not always paying attention to what I was doing. So I'm really sorry if you don't see the bottom of this right now. So let's see, what am I doing? Okay, so I had this just orange frame. I have no idea where it came from. It was just with my orange embellishments, and I'm going to use that to kind of ground my cluster, and then I'm going to go ahead and do my journaling inside of that frame. I usually never do journaling while I'm filming because honestly, it's just hard for me to think and write at the same time, and I end up writing down something that makes no sense at all. So I always do that when I'm finished and like off camera and everything. So I'm just going through, like I said, I have a bunch of stuff laying beside me that I know will match, and I'm just going to play around as to where I want things to lay. I have that little black label that says "Too Cute for Words," and I'm kind of auditioning it there at the top corner, but I end up not using it there. I am going to use it at the bottom. And I like that because, as you will see, I'm going to bring in the rest of my title. So I'm already going to have black above the photo. So by bringing that black tag below the photo, it just makes sense than to have, black all at the top. So I'm going to end up titling this Happy Girl. And I do want the girl to, I'm going to play around, I think, for a little bit as to where I'm going to place girl. But in the end, I end up placing it just over the title. I'm not sure what I am working on right now. Hope I'm not doing anything. Oh, I might be working on that embellishment cluster. If I am, oh gosh, here I'm like squirrel. I just move on to something else. So I'm ripping this a little bit more, and I realized that the back of this striped paper is pink. And I was like, perfect. So I start rolling up the paper so that the pink is showing a little bit more. And I love the texture that brings. Ideally, I would have liked to have added some tearing maybe at the top or on the left-hand side, but I really couldn't find a good spot to do that where it wouldn't have felt like it just didn't make sense anywhere else. The top is all spiral, it's like the background is like a spiral sheet of paper, and I didn't think it made sense for me to rip up there. And then there's just too much going on the left-hand side. So even though I would have liked a little tearing somewhere else, I decided just to stick with what I had. Now my cluster on the bottom is what I'm working on now, and I'm going to eventually be placing that Too Cute for Words label. And then I'm going to pull in some hearts from Scrappin' Happy Studio. They're her epoxy flare, which are amazing. And you can see I have a little container over there that I keep them in. And I'm going to end up pulling out 2 of those flare. And they're just simple heart shapes, and they both have like like kind of a grid, a wonky grid pattern on them. And I pull out a pink one and like an aqua blue one, and I'm going to put both of those on the layout eventually here. I'm just auditioning a few more pieces, and then eventually I'm going to bring in a pink bow at the bottom where that I made from a punch. And one night I just kind of sat with my punch and my scraps, and I just sat watching TV with my family, and I made a bunch of bows, and I have those just in a little container as well. So then when I need something, I can go in and pick one out. So I love how that worked out. And that's what I like to do. Like if I'm sitting and watching TV, I either like to punch out shapes out of my scraps, or I will fussy cut. But if I fussy cut, I have to have light, and my family doesn't always want the big light on when we're watching TV. So I'll usually bring out my punches and just punch out some, hearts and things that I use regularly. So here I'm still thinking that tag is going to be up at the top, but it is not going to be. Eventually, I will move that. So I'm sorry, I probably could have cut some more of this out. And, oh my goodness, I lost some of my video. Well, you see my cluster that I came up with at the bottom, and then just some hearts up at the top, and that will be it for my layout. I hope you enjoyed this process. I would love a thumbs up if you did, and I hope you come back to see more. Thanks, guys.